I was recently talking to some friends and fellow entrepreneurs about business and how to get referrals and how to get new clients. And we brought up talking about your business. And the response I got from some of them actually kind of surprised me and made me kind of stop and think about it a little bit. Now, these are very ambitious entrepreneurs. They're very passionate about what they do. They would have no problem talking to somebody about their business or finding things to talk about. They are social people. I think more of the response I got was, I know, I need to talk about it. And kind of a reluctance, like they knew it was something that they should be doing, but not something they're doing enough. And I know these friends, they're very humble people. So I think the reluctance comes from they would rather talk to somebody about what that person does. And they would rather listen and support and encourage that person. And they would they don't want to feel like they're bragging about themselves or always just bringing up what they do and I throughout the whole conversation, right? Well, that's not what I mean by talking about your business, and that is definitely not something that you have to do to talk about your business. You can talk about your business and be a very, very good listener and a good conversationalist and just a good person and a good relationship builder, right? Business is all about relationships, and that is where talking about your business really stems from. So today's video is called The Best Thing You Can Do for Your New Business, and if you haven't figured it out already, it's talk about your business. Especially when it's new, but I really don't think business owners should really ever stop talking about their business, and if you're passionate about it, you're not going to stop talking about it. I'm going to dive into a few examples and kind of give you some action steps on what you can do to intentionally talk about your business, because it's more than just, okay, I just have to go around telling everybody what I do. Don't we kind of do that anyway? There's a little bit more to it than that. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about being deliberate about it and preparing yourself ahead of time and kind of thinking, okay, I'm going to bring it up to 3 people that don't know what I do this week. So I'll get to that in a little bit, but I wanted to break down what exactly I mean by talking about your business and how good it can be for your business, especially when you're new and trying to get new clients. One of the reasons I think I was a little bit surprised by my friends' responses to their reluctance to maybe be talking about their business is, at first I was thinking back on my own business journey in photography, and I was thinking, well, it seemed easy to just talk about what I was doing, to post on my personal Facebook page that I was starting a photography business. I had been posting pictures for fun and taking pictures for fun, so it seemed kind of like a natural transition to be saying, hey, I'm taking photos now as a business. It was especially easy to say, hey, I'm taking photos of families for free. When I was starting, there's always people willing to jump on that train when you're starting. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that building my photography business was more than just posting some pretty pictures. Posting pretty pictures did not allow me to grow my photography business to a full-time one, to a 6-figure photography business. I can't just post pretty pictures and think people will hire me. There's a lot more that goes into it than that. And I think my friend's reaction resonated with me a little bit more when I thought about starting my website design business. When I started talking about being a web designer, I could really feel the imposter syndrome creep in. I was so confident about photography, and I'm confident about web design, but it felt like such a different transition. So when I started to talk about it, I was like, who am I to say I'm a web designer or that I can help people grow their business? I'm a photographer. I, post pretty pictures. But the more I talk about it and the more I share how I built that business and what I've learned and the strategies I have for other business owners, that imposter syndrome starts to leave, right? I become more confident and realize I know what I'm talking about. I can talk about this to other people. So I think the more you talk about it, just even to people that imposter syndrome starts to go away. And people can see how passionate you are when you talk about what you do and when you talk about working with your clients and how excited you are to grow this part of your business. That sells itself because you talk about things that you know and that you're passionate about, and people can really see that. So just one of the benefits of talking about it. But now we're going to dive into a few examples to show you how this can be so valuable to your business. When I first announced my photography business, I posted it on my personal Facebook page. And like I said, easy to get clients on your personal Facebook page when you're posting that you're doing pictures for families for free to build your portfolio, or even super cheap. But again, not going in a photography spiel here, but a great way to build your portfolio. But I posted it to my personal Facebook page, and that's actually how I booked my first few weddings too. So just a disclaimer, before I booked my first weddings, I made sure I knew what I was doing. So I shadowed a wedding photographer for a summer and got some portfolio photos, with that photographer, and doing some styled shoots. So I didn't just post, hey, I'm doing wedding photography. I wanted to capture somebody's wedding, knowing, having experience and knowing what I was doing. So there was that piece of having to, do the free work and having the portfolio and stuff like that. But I booked my first few weddings by posting a special to my personal Facebook page. First of all, your personal social media is an excellent way to get business, whether you're new or not so new. The people who are most likely to hire you are going to be the people who know you first, which is why getting your audience and your clients to know you is so important. But when you're starting, start with your circle. Start with the people that you know, also called the SOI, or the sphere of influence, a big real estate term that I've learned from working with realtors. But start with the people you know. So I posted a discounted engagement session offer on my personal Facebook page, and I got 2 responses from that. One was a mother of a bride, and one was a bride herself. So the one bride, who was the daughter, I didn't know, but I knew who she was, and I knew her mom from a previous job. They hired me for a cheap engagement session with no strings attached about their wedding. But then if they did want to book me for their wedding, they were able to use that money to go towards their wedding package, also pretty cheap, being my first one. And it worked. They hired me for their engagement session and then hired me for their wedding photography. And that's really what started it all. So they actually didn't end up being my first wedding that I shot because of COVID. So that was kind of an interesting turn of events, I guess. But that's what started my wedding business, really, was posting to my personal Facebook page. People who trusted me and knew me, were ready to jump in. Obviously, I wasn't charging a premium, but they trusted me enough to pay me money to take their photos. Now, this tactic has come in handy again and again. And sometimes I just post because I want to post, right? It's not always like I'm posting to make a sale, but keep your circle up to date on what you're doing in your business and in your life. So not every post should be an engagement session special or a sale or something that you're selling, but post behind the scenes videos and pictures of your business, and post updates on what you're doing and a story of your client and how you helped them. Post those obviously to your business page, but post them to your personal social media pages. Whether they are your clients, whether your clients are on your personal social media page, or whether they know somebody who could be your client, right? It's worked for me in both ways. You want to stay top of mind, especially in your sphere of influence. So whatever you do, photography, you're a wedding planner, you're a realtor, you want to be the first person that the people in your sphere think of when they know somebody who needs what you do. They don't even have to be Facebook friends that you talk to all the time. I've gotten referrals from people I haven't talked to in 10 years, but they're Facebook friends with me. We all like to creep on each other, and I'm top of mind when they know somebody who needs a wedding photographer or needs a website designer. So I cannot stress that enough, to keep your personal sphere, and it doesn't even have to be like this sphere, the ones like super close to you, but keep your personal pages updated. And I know it might feel silly, I know it might feel like you think people are going to get annoyed with you. It doesn't have to be a lot. And again, I'm going to stress, it's not a sales pitch, okay? You can post when you have sales, but the number one thing you'll hear in every aspect of marketing these days is, whether it's email marketing or social media, you're not posting and selling something every single time. You're not emailing a sale every single time. You're just posting a story, right? I talk a lot about stories. Post stories, right? Don't post sales, post stories. And you will stay top of mind. People will be interested in what you're saying. And little side note, they don't have to like and comment to be paying attention. I get referrals from people out of the woodwork who have never liked to post, never commented on anything. I would never think they were paying attention to anything I was doing. And all of a sudden I get a referral, and this person sent me, and I haven't heard from that person in years. So Don't be discouraged by the number of likes that you get on the post, or the lack of likes, or the comments, or thinking people are annoyed or not paying attention. The right people will be paying attention. Another great example I have of talking about your business, and really when I say it is talking about your business, but you could also say it's just forming relationships, or the old-fashioned term, networking, right? So yes, you're talking about your business and you can bring it up in conversation, but you also want to kind of put yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit and do some old-fashioned networking. And again, it all has the same common theme. You're not going up to somebody and saying, hey, I'm a realtor. Do you know anyone looking for a home? Can I sell you a home? Do you have money to buy a new home? Let's do it, right? You're approaching it from a relationship standpoint. So I think that takes a little bit of pressure off of it, because you don't have to think like, I need to come up with this great sales pitch to, get this person to be my client right now. It's a long game effort. You're not a car salesman, right? Maybe you are, but you're not in the lot selling a car to somebody. You're just forming relationships that in the long term will help you grow your business and make the experience of being a business owner less lonely too. I think if you approach it from a relationship standpoint, overall, it takes the emphasis off of what can I do just to get business for myself? Like, be genuine about your relationships, and it will grow your business, but it will also do so much more for you just having this network of friends and business owners that who you can bounce ideas off of, who you can refer back to people, and it just does a lot more than just bringing in dollars into your business. So approach it from a relationship standpoint. But one example I wanted to talk about was maybe a little bit more of a non-traditional way of networking that Ryan and I tried out. And what we did, and we approached this from the standpoint of we just wanted to get to know other wedding vendors in our area. So we weren't walking in saying, let's see if we can book a wedding. But we were invited to attend a wedding show in Madison for free, not to have a booth there, but just to attend the wedding show. Now, we would have paid $20 to go. But I got an email to go to this wedding show, and I was like, I don't have a booth, but let's go and just compile, as if we were a wedding couple, right? Compile a list of wedding vendors in the area, see who we kind of feel a good connection from, and we can refer and have a good list to give to our clients, our wedding clients, when they're looking for a DJ or a makeup artist or something like that. So we went to this wedding show and simply introduced ourselves to almost every vendor at the wedding show. We weren't taking away time from couples, so we were either going to ones that didn't have anybody there at the time, and or just making a really quick introduction and saying, hey, we're Morgan and Ryan, we're local wedding photographers, and we're just looking to collect some information from vendors and get to know other vendors in our area. Now, some of those conversations turned longer when they didn't have other people at their booth, and we were kind of able to develop some connections with people and get a good feel for what they do and who they are. And so we took it as a really good afternoon of gathering information for our clients that we could use for our client experience. But we actually ended up booking a wedding off of that too. And it was just from a connection that we formed with a wedding planner who I love and who I refer to my clients, and who I plan to continue to have a relationship with. But we connected with her pretty easily, and then I followed up with her. That was the key. We followed up with everybody we met. We didn't bring business cards. We weren't like, here, take our business card, add us to your list, any of that. We weren't networking with, client or couples. We weren't trying to sell ourselves in any way, but we formed a connection with this wedding planner, and then I followed up with her. We had a call and talked some more, and she ended up referring us to an awesome couple who booked us for their wedding next year. So just that simple connection point, and then the one follow-up email, and then just the intention of continuing that relationship and making it a mutual relationship and stuff like that. But just that one afternoon, and truthfully, it was fun. We got to walk around to a bunch of wedding vendors and try some cake and stuff like that too. But that was a good example of just kind of old-fashioned networking, but just introducing yourself, right? And in that case, it was easy to say, hey, we're wedding photographers, like almost the first thing we said. But you can do that when you're making relationships with people you meet in a less formal setting too. It always comes up like, hey, what do you do? Listen first, and it'll almost always come up of what you do. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about how you kind of give you some action items to prepare yourselves for those conversations too. Like I said before, some objections that may pop up when you think about talking about your business are I don't want to steer the conversation away from the other person. I don't want to talk about myself all the time. I don't want to be bragging. I don't want to sell to people. Again, this is about relationships. So have a conversation with the intention of forming a relationship with this person. It doesn't have to be your new best friend, right? But be genuinely interested in what they're talking about, what they do. And then we're going to talk about strategic ways to bring up what you do in a way that's not selling. So you're not, hey, I have something to sell you, just all of a sudden in your conversation. It takes the pressure off, and you're simply informing somebody about what you're passionate about. And if you're passionate about it, which I assume you are, if you started a business around it, it's going to be easy to talk about, and people will be able to see that you're passionate about it. So a few action steps that you can take to get ready for these conversations. Here we go. All right, action item number 1. I want you to sit down and come up with 2 to 3 stories about your business or your clients that you could easily bring up in conversation. So these are stories that excite you, that show that you're passionate about your business. And sometimes it literally could be as simple as something that relates to the weather. Like, what comes up in conversation all the time, especially here in Wisconsin. I don't know about other places, but the weather comes up in every single conversation I have, whether it's a best friend or somebody that I only see once in a while. But oh, it was super cold today, or oh, that wind is nasty, or oh, it's super nice out for November. Come up with one thing you can throw in that relates to the weather. So I could sometimes be like, oh yeah, it has been so cold lately. I had an engagement session with a couple last weekend and we were dying and my hands were freezing. Oh, you take photos? I mean, you take engagement photos? Oh yeah, I'm a wedding photographer. Done. Not selling them anything, telling them something relevant. Another story could be, the best kinds of stories, truthfully, to tell about your business are, in more of a marketing standpoint, how you helped your client succeed in something. All right, your next action item is to make 2 social media posts this week on your personal social media page. So not even talking about your business pages, I want you to make 2 social media posts this week that go out to your personal Facebook page and or your personal Instagram page that your friends, acquaintances, family, coworkers will see. And this flows really nicely from action step 1 of the stories that you came up with, because you can share 2 of your stories that you came up with as your personal posts. You can share a behind the scenes video, you can share a photo, it could literally just be a selfie of you in your office, or it can just be an update, like, oh, we have a nice break from weddings, I'm having fun reflecting on the weddings that we did this year, here's some of my favorite pictures. It doesn't have to be a sale, it doesn't have to be a call to action, just an update. Action step number 3, I want you to make it your goal to talk about your business to 3 people you talk to in the next week. Preferably people who don't already know about your business. Now, this is a little bit scary sometimes because it could involve introducing yourself to somebody or trying to steer the conversation naturally in a way that allows you to bring up your business. But I want you to make it your goal to talk to 3 people about it in like face-to-face conversations or video calls or phone calls, but not texting, not sending somebody an email. So I want you to try to talk to 3 people who don't already know about your business and tell them a little bit about what you do. Again, have those stories from action step number 1 in the back of your head. And then your last action step for the week is to search for local networking groups that you could join. And literally just pick one. You'll probably populate a bunch of networking groups that you could join. Don't overwhelm yourself. But I absolutely love networking groups and conferences, going to business conferences and anywhere that you're surrounded by like-minded people, right? So search for a local networking group. It can be one that's kind of broad and just allows people to join who own small businesses. It can be something within your industry, which is a great way to meet people who do what you do. Not always the best way to get referrals, depends on the group. But if you're in the wedding industry, you could join a networking group of other wedding professionals, and they're not all photographers, so that's a good way to potentially make some good connections where you could mutually help each other out. And then other networking groups often include business owners or just employees of different types of businesses. I'm in one that only allows, I have one networking group that only allows one person from a single industry to be in it, so you're not competing with another person in your industry, and you're also getting to know about other industries and meet people who have jobs that are different than you. And there's a high emphasis on referrals in that networking group. Networking groups, again, great way to meet people, great way to get and give referrals, and also just really good practice for learning how to talk about your business. So coming full circle here, you're in a situation where you're pretty much forced to talk about your business, and there's no way you're not going to get better at it when you're forced to talk about your business. So those are your 4 action steps for the week, and I just want to leave you with, again, emphasizing that talking about your business is not a sales pitch and is not bragging and is not being selfish. I want you to focus on relationships and talk about your business because you're passionate about it. Show why you care, and if you can do one thing for your business, keep talking.